Coming from the great American Southwest, from the very low desert, good morning, good evening, whatever the case may be, to all my listeners around the world. Welcome back to another exciting episode here on the Sabbath at Midnight. I am your host, Lionel Tavares, and as always, extremely blessed and glad to be here because the Lord Jesus Christ has given me another day. So today we are back for another episode. I'm bringing back the same guest, one of my good friends, John Pounders, and I just keep bringing him back on because the episodes always turn out swell, and we are very like-minded in the things we believe in and the way we perceive the world through a biblical lens. So we're going to be talking, this episode is more just about two guys discussing what we think that is going on this earth as a whole when it comes to how men behave, their behavior, how they react to things, how they handle things, and what that behavior in this conversation, weakness, can lead to. Weakness can lead to many, many bad things, and we're going to be discussing that and giving examples of that. There's a lot going on right now in the world. We got the riots going on. We got World War III breaking out any day now. We got, the stuff in Ukraine. We got China. There's just so much going on, but we're just going to discuss it as a whole. So let's get into that. But don't forget to like, share, subscribe, follow us on all our social media platforms. We are on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and of course, obviously, YouTube. Please, if you want to support the show, subscribe, check out our videos, share them. And if you want to become a member to help donate to the show, we have a link in the bio. It is Buzzsprout. Or if you want to just donate, hit up our Cash App, or you can send me directly through Zelle or Apple Pay. My number is right there on the bio, so it's not a secret. So, and also, if you have a story to tell, if you want to get your testimony out there and share to the whole world, all around the world, we got listeners all around the world, so your story will be heard, and it won't be taken for granted. So if you have a beautiful testimony, whether that's supernatural experience, life experience, there's so many different ways people come to Christ, and I do not discriminate. We want to hear your story, and the people who have similar experiences would help them out by hearing something that someone else went to in a similar way. So if you do, please hit me up on my Instagram, DM me. That is the best way to get a hold of me, or my email, sabbathatmidnight@icloud.com. All right, everybody, let's get to this episode. As I always say, hit the head, grab yourself a coffee, kick your feet up, and let's get ready for a very exciting episode. Second. All right. Good evening, everybody. I'm your host, Lionel Tavares from the Sabbath at Midnight. We are here for another exciting episode. I'm here with my friend and my returning guest, John Pounders. So before we get into this podcast, I just want to put a couple messages out there. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe on all our social medias. And as I said, we are going to be focusing on YouTube. So please, if you haven't subscribed to us on YouTube, please head there because all our new episodes will, moving forward, only be on YouTube. I know I said this a million times, guys, but I keep getting DMs about where are the new episodes at? They're on YouTube. So there it is. Also, if you have a story to tell, don't forget you can email me. All the information is on my bio, and then also the easiest way to get a hold of me is just DM me on Instagram. I'm always on Instagram. I'm always checking it. I'm mostly on there. So please, and if you also want to buy a T-shirt, that's where you're gonna go to. Go to my DM or ask me for my number, and I will message you personally, and we'll get that done. So with that being said, tonight we're going to be talking about just kind of how men are as a whole now. I would say from just everything from how they carry themselves, how they react to things, how they handle things, how they don't handle things. We're going to be talking about just in general masculinity. I didn't want to, just come out and say that because a lot of people don't take people serious when we talk about these kind of things. But I'm going to come from a very serious standpoint and from a biblical view. It's not going to be some kind of corny Andrew Tate type of take on it. Both grown men here on the show have a lot of respect for this man, and we have a lot of respect for God, and we're going to go through it that way. So we're going to be talking about that and just kind of see where the conversation leads, because that kind of subject we're on could lead to many things, like man overreacting, kind of like maybe going to riots that they shouldn't be a part of, and on that things lead to. So without further ado, my guest John Pounders, go ahead and introduce yourself and say hi to everybody.
What's up, guys? I am John Pounders, and I am on a channel called NYSTV. I started, and I do the Midnight Ride, and I've been friends with Lionel for a little bit. We've been talking about these kind of subjects, and this subject to me, I think Lionel is really important to see how we got here and why we're continuing this way. Because I mean, ultimately, I think it stems from a biblical source for sure. So I'm really excited about talking about it, man.
Thank you very much. So I'm just kind of thinking how to start this, and we can start this from any standpoint. So I'm going to start it like this. Just in general, how do we see? Well, I'm going to ask myself first. The question is, and to my audience, how do you see men as in general now? Yes, there's extremely feminine men, there's extremely masculine men, but when you go out in public and when you look on your phone or media or movies or TV, what kind of standpoint do you see men? Do you see them very masculine and coming off as very strong and to the point and a matter of fact and not taking any BS? Or do you see them just kind of leaning to a kind of feminine side, and they just kind of go along with where everything goes? And if you dare stand up for yourself or stand for anything, you're just toxic. Those words are very big: toxic masculinity. So what I'm asking is, to the audience and to myself and to John, what do you see as them as a whole? And what I would answer, for an example, is that I see most men, not all, but most men come off very weak and very feminine all the time. And I live in California. So let's keep that in mind. There's a big difference from where people are from in the United States, because down south, very different. East Coast, West Coast, similar but different. So what I see out here is mostly I see men come off very feminine, and feminine in many different ways. So feminine doesn't always mean it's some guy that looks like a chick and he's dressed like a chick. Very feminine can also be a guy who just overreacts to things, kind of like how a little kid would, or a little girl. And we're not picking on women. So for example, I see a lot of men also, besides dressing like that and behaving that way, I see a lot of men that overreact to things. Like if you look at somebody the wrong way, guys out here, honestly, it's kind of sad. They just kind of react and they want to fight you right away. Like, what are you looking at? And, you're just looking because, we're at the store and I need to look so I don't bump into anything. Like people out here, at least in California, are like that. It's very common out here that they call it, out here, I don't know what if there's a term out there, John, but they call it dogging. You're dogging. You ever heard that term?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, out here, that's like a big term that's been going on since I was a child. And you're not even dogging anybody. To me, that would be a feminine or very childish, immature reaction, to just you're dogging me, dogging you. I'm looking that way because if I don't, I'm gonna bump into you. So that's what I see, and I see a lot of that, and also see a lot of men who just come off very girly, because out here in California, it's a very big type of community like that out here, for for lack of better words. But anyways, that's what I see out here. I'm seeing mostly that, and I see a lot of those kind of people also supporting all this thing that's going on with ICE. And actually, ICE has been doing some pretty crazy little raids here. They actually went to all the Latino grocery stores, which would be like Cardenas, all the meat markets, and they even went to the swap meet. And I called that, by the way, guys. And it's pretty crazy because a lot of men are kind of like, you know, it's kind of a black or white, it's kind of like a black and white area, because some people are going away that shouldn't be going away, in my opinion. And there's a lot of people that should be going away. But, you know, I see a lot of dudes out there just behaving like, you know, like animals, man. They're, you know, they're breaking into stuff, they're rioting, they're looting, you know. Is this really about that? Because what does breaking into the Nike store have to do with anything? Stealing the stuff that I've been seeing, you know, what does that got to do with looting places? I just don't understand that part, that aspect. So I would say that kind of behavior is like 80% out here, like that mindset. Like I've been seeing like people on social
Mm.
media that out here, oh man, I'm going to LA to go support this. So pretty crazy.
It
Most
is crazy, man. Yeah, and thankfully, in my area, I feel like that is so far from reality for me because I live in Southern Indiana. The town I live in has actually the city that I am. I don't really live in the city. I live on the outskirts of the city, but it has only less than 1,000 people in the city limits, and so most of the people I see are country boys of sorts. And then when I do go into town, I'm going to going to jujitsu or going to the gym or something. I see people that are more masculine, but it's really frowned upon, I think, in this area. So it's not as outward, but there are people like that I see. But I know exactly what you're talking about, and I think a lot of it stems from when people compile in an area and everything becomes kind of easy. You know, when you don't have to do anything for your food, when you don't have to do anything for your water, you don't have to hunt, you don't have to fish, you don't have to do anything really to get what you need as a man, what you're designed to do. When you have none of that, you lose touch with the reality. And we are humans, and we usually kind of adapt to our environments. And when your environment is a environment that makes you soft, then you become soft in a lot of those ways. And that's the problem with a lot of these big cities. Become so dependent on the structure that you don't have to be manly and do anything like that anymore. You don't have to go out and be tough. I mean, all of us suffer from this. Even here, all of us suffer from this in a big way. I mean, if you think about the men that were before us that had to have built these massive structures with by hand, that blazed the countryside, that came and fought for their homes and did that. Those were rugged men compared to the men we have now. Even the most rugged of our men really probably don't compare to that, that type of man that was able to push through, persevere, and really be strong in those arenas. And we see throughout time in a lot of the civilizations, when they get to a big point to where everybody's bound up together, like in Greece, etc., this becomes the reality of the men in those civilizations. And then some other civilization full of beastly men who haven't been pampered, that have been living out in the wild, been persecuted by them, they grow into warriors and they come and they destroy everything. And that's really what I think America is witnessing. It's witnessing a power struggle, possibly opposition, possibly controlled opposition. Maybe it's just two different sides. We don't really know because we can only see what we're allowed to see. But we realize that something's going on. You'd have to be kind of blind, which a lot of people are, unfortunately, to not see that something is happening. We've had tanks that have been imported and transported into our country by tons of them. People think they're for a parade, but they're traveling down the river to all parts of where these riots are going to be taking place. And there's a revolution taking place underground, inside, and there's things moving, pieces are moving all over the place. And we're not ready as a civilization to have this kind of war that is possibly going to be on our grounds. I would say that some of these other countries that have strategically placed their people all over the nation are primed and prepared, whereas our youth are more prepared to play a video game or more prepared to do something else than actually stand their ground and fight. And that's what they wanted us to be, I think. And that's the design of all of this. This goes back biblically to the doctrine of Balaam, where you continually corrupt people to a point to where they're easy to take over. And so that's kind of where I think we're at. And the reason that there's so many feminine men stems from this compiling of ease of life. And it's, of course, we all love ease of life, but at some point, enough is enough, and we lose our dominance, our strength that we have as men. I'm not saying dominance over women, but in general, in order to survive, you have to have that in you. And a lot of people aren't primed to survive what may come next. And that's unfortunate. It's just, it is what it is. And no matter where you're at, I mean, I'm considered soft to somebody else, you know, so you're considered soft to somebody else. There's people that have lived out rugged in the wilderness that have fought their whole lives from the time they were little until the time they're old. You know, they've been rough and had family die. They've got the war in their eyes. They got that dog in them ready to do damage, and we're not like that.
No, we're absolutely not. And you made so many good points. I could pick a lot out there, but I want to focus on what you were saying. Like right now, if an enemy did want to take over, it would be easy work as far as like as civilians. If if it was on our soil war, like it'd be easy work. The people, a lot of those people have no, like these people, we don't have no, like, and the average person doesn't know how to shoot a gun or even hold one. So like it would be easy work. They would come out, parachuting, just like that movie Red Dawn, come out and they'll wipe us all out, most of us at least.
Yeah,
Because
especially in the cities. I mean, my goodness, like imagine if all they have to contend with is the police force of that city and they're
oh,
trained warriors that have been fighting wars. I mean, there's
they
no
can't even
comparison.
handle these people at the riot. They can't even handle that. So how are they
Yeah.
going to handle this? And it would be quick. Honestly, it would be quick. And it's sad. A lot of people say, "Oh, if that were to happen, America, we all have guns." It doesn't matter. How these people know how to shoot guns.
Yeah.
So I really don't believe that. And a lot of people do what, like a lot of people, like I've had this conversation before. A lot of people think also, John, and I want to ask you this because you know more, studied longer about theology in the book. What is your opinion especially when Christians say this? What is your opinion when they say this excuse? Like I'll ask them, I'll be having a conversation with somebody, and the conversation will come up about defending yourself if somebody were trying to hurt you, or defending your family, your kids. A lot of people, unfortunately, they always say, "Oh, I wouldn't, fight back or hit anybody because the Bible says turn the other cheek." That verse right there. A lot of people use that verse, and it blows my mind. And and I go back to this, and I'll go back and say, well, what if somebody, if they have a wife and kid? I always use that first. Oh, you have a wife and kid? Yes. So you're telling me right now, if somebody were trying to hurt your wife and kid right in front of you, you're not going to like jump in and physically try to harm this guy to save your wife and kid? And their answer is usually, well, that would never happen to me because I believe in Jesus Christ and I pray to him every day and I serve him, so that situation would never happen to me. And it's just crazy that this is the mindset, I would say, of most people that I talk to out here who are believers of the Bible. And that's comes, I would say, like 20 people in my life have said this, and it's all from different sects, Catholicism, Protestant, whatever, the Mormons. Yes, they all have this kind of point of view. So what is your response to that when they use that turn the other cheek? Is there any biblical verses out there that say that we can defend ourselves, that are straightforward, or what?
Yeah. So I can think we have to kind of differentiate what it means to go and fight somebody versus to defend yourself. Because when in the Bible, in the Old Testament, it says that if someone breaks into your house and you kill them, then the blood is not on your hands. And that is something that, if somebody were to break into your house and they're trying to hurt your family, you have the right, I believe, biblically, to hurt that person. Now, I've heard this is kind of where I'm at on this. Now, if my goal is primarily to witness to people or to be a mission to those people, missionary in some way, I should know that there's a possibility that I'm going to die. I don't go in there guns blazing, but you should know that if you go to some of these places, there's a good possibility you are going to die. Now, not 100%, but there's a chance. And let me give you an example of somebody that I talked to over the last week. I was in Dearborn, Michigan, which is it has the largest mosque in the United States, and it's got the biggest Muslim population. I think their mayor may be Muslim. And when we were there, kind of looking at those situations, there were people there that I talked to that had been formerly Muslim at one point or time, or there's a variety of people. But this one lady, I'm going to tell you her testimony. She went to this place in Saudi Arabia, and I can't remember the name of the town off the top of my head, but she was going over there, and she went through a mission group, and they were going, her and a couple ladies, she's a doctor, they were going into a town that is very Muslim town. Women cover themselves completely in this town, and the mission group that she went with didn't tell her that they weren't supposed to go there. They didn't know they weren't supposed to go there. So they go into this area full intentions of preaching the gospel to all of these people, bar none, not worried about their lives, etc. They're doing it, and I'll tell you why in a minute, because this is crazy. When you hear it, you're gonna be astounded at how different the gospel's received in other places than it is here. But they go into this area, and the whole time they're there, they're preaching, and there's women with these burqas, like, crying their eyes out, screaming for Jesus, just literally like on their knees begging for Jesus, and people, like hundreds of people, just flocking to these people. And they leave after this, and they go back to the town, and they get their phones come back on. Their phones had been dead the entire time they were in that area, and their phones lit up with messages. The police were there waiting on them because they had been tracking them. Anytime, as a foreigner, you go into another country, especially a country where, in an area where you are at danger, there's a lot of times they're tracking your phone. Well, they tracked them into that area, and so they told them they weren't allowed to go there. But the risk sometimes is almost worth the reward, depending on where your heart's at in these things. If you're willing to step into some of these spots, the reward could be bountiful, but you could be losing your life and risking your life. Now, is that different than some creep coming and busting in your door and trying to harm your wife and children? I'd say that's a lot different. I'd say that there's one thing to die for, pick up your cross and follow Jesus. It's another thing to get killed in the crossfire because some raging idiot wants to take everything you got. There's a difference there, in my opinion. And like I said, I don't know everything, but I think that turn the other cheek is one of those situations. If I'm trying to, if I'm truly in spiritual, like, alignment with Christ, and my goal is to love this person as himself, and I go and this person comes up to me and strikes me, my first inclination would be, boom, I want to take this guy down right away. But if I'm truly in line with what Christ is telling me to do, there's a chance that I might say, listen, you strike me, but I love you anyway. There's a story of another guy. He went into a mosque, and one of the head imams was whipping him with a stick, just beating him. And when he got done, George Husni's his name, he grabbed him by his collar and pulled him close. He said, I love you, and God and Jesus loves you too. And he pulled the guy, let off, and he was shocked. He couldn't believe what the guy was saying. He just got beat, and he was like right there grabbing him and telling him that Jesus loved him. And then all these people started surrounding him, and he had a chance to preach the gospel to these people in a mosque for 3 hours. And we're talking millions of converts because of people willing to do those type of things without coming in with guns, without coming in with the weapons or whatever. I think sometimes the situation is different. To me, I would be more willing to do that than that's something you have to consider. But at the same time, we're talking about people coming in to hurt your family, and the Bible commands us to love others. But who do we love more? Do we love our beautiful child or wife that counts on us for safety, or do we love these terrorists that's coming in, or rapists or whatever that's coming in to devour our household?
I mean, dude, I would hope the obvious answer for most people would be you love your family more, because if they kill you, you do not have any partake in what they're going to do to your wife and kid when you're dead. That is like the biggest, worst fear that I could possibly have, is that I get taken out, and before I die, I know my wife and kid, I can't do nothing about it. I'm gone. That'd be my biggest fear. But yeah, you're right. There's a very big difference. And I mean, I looked this up. I did some research on this verse myself a while back, many times, and it kind of from the different, and I'm not picking and choosing, which theology I like better because people have different opinions on it. But I went with the one that was mostly the same description of that for multiple different sources, and it was described, and I like it. It's described as that verse is talking about to end a cycle of revenge. I mean, could it mean that? Could it be talking about that? Because I guess when you read it in context, or you read the whole verse, it's talking about how how getting revenge. Someone killed your brother. You're gonna kill their brother, and I guess that verse was in context saying that. And I guess a slap in the face back then wasn't really like a punch. It was more like an embarrassment or disrespect. I don't know.
Well, I've heard that the culture in the Middle East is all about revenge. You do this,
Okay.
you do back, you get back, you get back, and that's why there's constant struggle, especially um, amongst really. I mean, lately you see it like happening, but it's always kind of been that way, and so that could be very well exactly what it's talking about. And there's also the tradition of people slapping. They would duel with the glove, and they would slap, and that was like the duel that they would have a duel in that way. So that it could refer to that.
Yeah.
We know it doesn't refer to like just straight up just letting somebody annihilate you and your family. We know that that's not what it's referring to. So
I like that answer. That's
yeah.
a good one. So moving forward. Yeah, I like that answer. So moving forward, so just in general, I would say my opinion would be for everybody, like just to be realistic, the world's crazy right now. I mean, a lot of people snap and they would literally jump out their car and try and hurt you for road rage, for honking at them because they're at the light too long. I've seen it happen all the time. Seen on the news, seen in videos, people getting crazy just for simple things like that. It would be really unrealistic for someone to argue against me saying that it would benefit anybody, especially kids, start them young, to put them in at least one kind of self-defense class.
Oh yeah.
Whether that's boxing, taekwondo, jiu-jitsu. You cannot argue with me that wouldn't help versus the opposite, because number one, you're getting structure, you're getting discipline, and you're also becoming humble with more confidence to protect yourself. And I would say that is better than the opposite, because now you know how to protect yourself and you're not looking for it, nor are you afraid of it. What do you think about that?
Oh man, I mean, both of my boys train. They have a whole in the next room over there. They have a whole wall full of medals from tournaments, jiu-jitsu tournaments, and so I mean, yeah, I totally believe that. Plus, their confidence goes up. They don't have to fight. There's a thing. My oldest son, he's getting ready to turn 14. He's his president's birthday and his birthday the same day, and he is really good about knowing. He knows that he's going to be pretty much dominant over most of the kids that he's around because he's big for his age. Plus, he's been training jiu-jitsu pretty much longer than he can remember. He doesn't remember when he wasn't training jiu-jitsu, and he's athletic and all of those different things. But he's not mean. He's not out there punking people, and he's not out there what'd you call it earlier, dogging people. He's not out there, dude. He's a calm kid. Like, he doesn't fight with anybody, but yet at the same time, he's got the ability to pretty much most grown men, if they haven't never trained and they don't have that grown men strength, he's going to take them down and he's going to choke them out or break their arm or whatever. Like, he does, but he doesn't carry that around as if. And people that act like, oh, I'm going to beat you up, most of the time those people don't even understand what it means to be beat up or get beat up, beat somebody else up. They've never fought somebody that's a fighter. They may have won fights. I remember before I started training, I used to think I could fight. I won a few fights with people that didn't know what the heck they were doing. But then I got in the gym and started training with people that did it every single day. And I realized, wow, man, I'm so thankful that I never came up against somebody that could box really well or that could do jiu-jitsu really well, because I would have been toast. It would have been game over for sure. And these people don't realize that. So I definitely suggest that everyone should train, because even in a situation like these street brawls that take place, if you're in a situation where you can help somebody, or you can keep yourself or your family from getting injured. I think it's learning those things, how to control your body, how to control your temper, how to control, look situationally, look at your environment and read that environment. You're a lot less likely to get hurt if you can read your environment. And that's just the reality of things. I mean, when I was in Lebanon last year, and I hate to, constantly refer to this, but it's the closest thing I can really think of to what kind of situation that you kind of have to be aware of, because the main situations over there that you had to worry about is something's going to be bombed. Like, you have to look out for whatever is going down, because it's at any point, boom. I think they just bombed Beirut over there the other day again. And when we were there was a bomb situation, and it's a different kind of looking out. But when you're in the cities, like in the United States, you need to be paying attention. You need to be looking, am I going to drive through this riot? Probably not a good idea. You see these people getting lined up through that. Why would you even approach that situation at all? People that know how to fight know better. Like, you're like, okay, I'm not going to, unless I'm wanting to go there and fight, like, I'm not going to go in that area, because likely if these people are fighting and hurting other people and doing, like, fighting against the police and stuff, I'm going to step in and try to help keep the order in the area, because I'm in that situation. So it's better that I don't put myself in those situations. I think that training does that to you. It gives you that sense of boundary, that sense of knowing that, okay, yeah, we might fight. Like, you're getting mad at me, I could flex and I can, raise my fur or whatever. But like, the chance one of us is getting hurt, one of us is going to the hospital probably. Well, and at the very best of the situations, somebody, like, you win and you still, break your knuckle or scuff your knee or whatever, like, and you're probably going to be questioned by the police for hours. And like, there's just no good win out of any of those situations at all. But if you're going to be in a situation, you better know how to deal with it. And the only way to know how to deal with it is to train on a regular basis, because that's what's going to kick in when you do those things. And I'm no like superhero when it comes to fighting, but 90% of people don't train at all. And if you can just be better than those 90%, then you got a better chance of survival in general. And maybe even a better, you never know, somebody might be crazy and trying to hurt you, and you may have a chance to even, like, control that person and witness to that person. You just don't know, man. You got to know where you feel the situations. But to answer your question, yes, I think that children, especially boys, should train in combat in some way, shape, or form. They should learn how to shoot guns. They should learn how to handle themselves in all situations, not just fighting, but in mental battles and etc. So yeah.
Yeah, that was good. You covered all the points there, because I was going to ask you about about firearms, and there you go. So yeah, so there you go. That's the answer to my audience right there. It's very beneficial, because it's just common sense. And then schools are just so bad now with the bullies. Like bullying is like a thing now. And at the same time, you gotta stand up for yourself. You gotta stand up for. I mean, these kids gotta stand up for themselves, because the truth is, unfortunately, it's just not ever going to be completely stopped. That's why it's still going on.
I saw this video that just broke my heart, man. It was so sad. This girl, she was probably 12, and she had been bullied so bad that she took her own self, deleted herself. And her mom, I could see her mom just like crying, just, begging for it not to be true that she was dead, like this mother just, and it was all stemmed from her being bullied at school. And it's horrible the way people are, but teaching children the ability to be able to defend themselves and have self-control, and really when they train too, like, I've noticed this, they kind of become part of a brotherhood of people that are, it is a brotherhood in a way, and it's not a bad one. People always think, oh, brotherhoods are all bad. It's a good one to have people that hold each other accountable and that have the same kind of mind. It's good to have that. And I've never seen a more welcoming brotherhood than jujitsu or martial arts, some forms of martial arts. I've never seen a better brotherhood of people. And unfortunately, I can't say the same about the physical churches that are everywhere, because, when you go to jujitsu, like, people, they treat each other with respect, like, there's no trash talking, because you're getting ready to be on the mat. You can't trash talk your way out of getting
Nope,
choked out. There's no,
absolutely
there's,
not.
yeah. So
That's
yeah,
awesome, man. But
yeah.
yeah, dude, absolutely. So moving forward with that, and even like I this is something that I always say. I tell these parents this too, because when kids take their kids to my boxing class, I always tell them, okay, before you sign them up, like I do things a certain way. Like, I could be very stern, I could be very loud, and I could be very to the point. And I have to let them know that, because sometimes the
Mhm.
parents walk in and they see me scolding some kid. It's nothing personal. And and I tell them the end result, it's going to be promising. This is why I've been in business so long, because I give results. And all these kids, if they stick with it, they come back very confident. I straighten up their act, and they know how to defend themselves. And I always say, would you rather have if a bully picks on your kid, would you rather have your kid going home crying, or the bully going home crying? So
Yeah,
that would always be kind of my response to that. So
yeah.
there you go, everybody. So that's my view on things. So other than that, what do you think, John, about what's going on right now with the whole thing in LA? Because I live down the street from LA, 2 hours away. What do you think? What do you think the reaction is to people who, especially who are born and raised in America, especially the grown men? What do you think? This is like a spiritual battle
Hmm.
with what's going on, because it's crazy. It's absolutely
It,
crazy. These
it
men are.
reminds me, yeah, it reminds me of the Bolshevik Revolution. Honestly, it reminds me of something that is happened before, where the youth and stuff, basically they slaughtered millions of people. They just, because really, if you think about it, it takes a few bad people to kill a lot of people. That's all it takes, and because most
Yeah,
people, like you said, won't defend themselves, or they're too scared to defend themselves, or they'll let the situation occur.
totally.
And yeah, and it'll just escalate. And if there's thousands of bad people in an area, and it can continue to escalate, and there's no order established, then but that's what I think is happening. But I think it is spiritual, man. I really think that there have been people that have been um and this gets out there, there's a lot of people listening that are going to be like, well, this is the craziest thing. But if they're used to listening to your show, then they're probably used to hearing it. But mind controlled people that
Oh
have
yeah.
been literally programmed their entire life for this moment to be activated as a super soldier, as a,
Yep.
somebody who's out there trying to wreak havoc on society. And that's what I think is happening. I think that they've been activated. I think that it's possible that this could be a big activation, and it could be a distraction from what may be coming from what we call outside um, war, possibly. I mean,
Mhm.
we, China, Russia, a lot of countries are probably licking their chops right now with what they see, because however we handle this situation, if it pops off like they think it's going to all over the United States,
Yeah.
they're going to see how we handle it. If we can't even handle these groups of whatever you want to call these people, I don't even know. You know more about the people you're seeing in
Huh.
these streets than I do. From what I see on the news, I can't really tell what kind of people are in the streets, but um, they're going to see how can we if they can't even handle them,
Very
how could
liberal.
they handle us?
Yeah. Oh man. I mean, I don't understand what's going on with how the the police force or whatever is handling it, because why is it that when you get pulled over, the cops are ready to blow your head off if you don't give them their ID, but there are cops out there getting hit with bricks,
Yeah,
getting hit with God knows what, and they can't do nothing back. I just don't understand the balance on that. That always tripped me out. Is there some kind of law because they're technically rioting? I mean, is there a law to protect them? Because you know what I mean? The force is not
yeah.
equally matched. It's
Yeah, it
not.
doesn't make sense. It
It made
doesn't
no
make sense
sense
at
to me.
all. Yeah.
So, yeah. So with that being said, what I'm seeing out here is mostly younger. I would say mostly younger people, and very, very left wing, very liberal people most of the time, if not
So
all the
it's not
time.
like it's not like cartels out there in the street.
Oh yeah. There's a bunch of, well, when you say cartel, I call them the little soldiers, the pawns, the ones that
Yeah.
do small time dealing on the corners. Yeah, they're most of them are. connected to some kind of cartel. And then there's also the ones that just want to go out stealing stuff. And then there's the ones who just want to be part of the trend, believe it or not. And there's people that were born in Burbank, California, and they're out there pretending like they had to swim across the river of gators to get to America. So it's a mixture of a lot of different ones. So I would say entitled liberal kids, illegals, small time thugs, and just and then also I'm also seeing, I don't know if you've seen this floating around, there's like screenshots and all these different videos of people saying that they saw these articles on Craigslist, like I guess a week before, that they were looking for a certain kind of people to go riding, and they were paying anywhere from $6,500 a month to $12,000 a month. My audience, go ahead and double check that for me if you can, because that's what, I don't know if you've seen that. You've seen that, John?
I did see that floating around social media. That wouldn't surprise me that much. I mean,
that's a lot of money, man.
It's strange because you see, from what we're supposed to see, this is just somebody paying attention to what they're saying on the outside, not knowing really the inner workings of this. It's definitely a spiritual thing, but there's a group of people that are struggling for their own survival right now. They're doing everything that they can do to stir things up, to make things happen so that their agenda can be fulfilled, or so they don't get shut down. There's a lot of pieces moving right now in the world that haven't been at play before. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that. I mean, you've got one man that is going to probably control 99% of the world's wealth. One man, Elon Musk probably within the next 15 years will be a multi-trillionaire and will have more money than almost all the countries combined. And we'll have a fleet of robots and a fleet of, so we're living in weird times right now. This is not the same kind of times that we've had. And so I don't know what to think about it all. I think that it's possible that we are at war right now, and maybe they don't want to admit it. They don't want to say it, but I think it's possible that when you have activated people that are doing that, what else do you call it? That just seems, if it was going on in another country, what would you call it? If you had riots, activated riots going on in every major city, would you call that war, or would you call that, especially if it's from a foreign country, is that not war?
I mean, absolutely.
Yeah.
I would say it's strange. And then the rumors are that, man, I gotta look this up because I saw the name and everything attached to it, that it's some American guy who's connected to some government agency, and he lives in China. Like that. I'm gonna look it up and post it in the bio, but it's pretty wild. And then also, this is also something that's been proven as true. Like I said, double check, everybody, if you don't believe me. That I also said it in a previous podcast. They're also pushing this new AI system called Plantier, I believe, Plantier. It's basically the exact same name as the unbreakable crystal ball in Lord of the Rings, where the guy can, he looks in the ball, he can see everything.
The Palantir or something. Palantir,
yeah. So that
the surveillance company.
Yeah, coincidentally, Donald Trump, hit up what's that place called out here, Silicon Valley. That was the title of the article. Trump, contact Silicon Valley to make some kind of super surveillance system because of everything that's going on with the riots, and it's called that, of all things. And basically they want to implement the facial recognition, face IDs all over the big cities. There's always a playbook going underneath what's distracting us. And people, go ahead and look that up. That is 100% going on. I don't know if they're going to do it, but that is the conversation. And God knows what else is being going on. John, do you have any insights about what else could be getting swept under the rug while this is happening? Because there always is.
Man, there's so much going on in political ideology, especially with Israel and America right now, and what's going on in the Middle East. It's people in America are starting to really wake up to the atrocities that are taking place, because as I think I said on your last broadcast, it's not really hiding anymore. You can see what they're doing, what Israel's been doing to the people in Palestine, and you're starting to have people that are all over the world, even in America, speaking out about it and being allowed to really speak out about it. The environment's changing, and that to me is a sign of something the big getting ready to happen, because biblically, there's going to come a point to where Israel, the land of Israel, becomes a stumbling block to everyone around them and becomes basically a kind of a sore in their eye, and they just can't stand them anymore because of the bad things that they're doing. And this is according to the
Interesting.
Bible. And they're all going to come up against them, and then 2/3 of them, according to the scripture, will be annihilated, and then the 1/3 will be brought through. And so I think that that's possible, that we're getting ready to see that fulfilled if things keep moving the way that they're moving, because there's big powers at play that are against Israel, and America itself has been critical of Israel, and there's a lot, and I don't know what's going on behind those closed door meetings, but there's obviously Donald Trump, I think, is a businessman, and so if he's got a lot of thought at the pieces moving, but war is not usually good for world trade and business and world travel and being able to have a one world government. And I don't know that that's his goal, but all of this right now makes it, difficult to know whether or not we should go overseas or not, difficult to know or not whether we can be safe coming back into the country. Even we don't even know what's going to happen. I was planning to go out of the country in September, but it seems like every time I plan to go out of the country, war pops off, and it is what it is. But it's like, I don't know that that's going to sway me from going, but it's definitely uneasy to be able to go around the world. There's so much happening. I'm actually scared to go to Israel. Ultimately, I'm less terrified to go to other countries that are probably more dangerous than I am to go there, just because I don't know what awaits me there. I don't know, as a Christian, if I know that Christians go there all the time, but it's just like there's things that are making it uneasy for the average person to even want to do business with the rest of the world or do anything, So.
Oh, dude, just really quick, I want to just mention that because you're talking about overseas. Did you see what happened to that one millionaire YouTuber? His name is Vitaly.
I did. He got arrested, right?
Dude,
Tell me the story though.
Oh, so this kid, everybody like listen to this. Don't be like this guy because you can throw away your whole life in a couple hours. So, anyways, this guy's a YouTuber, multimillionaire, has millions of subs. He went to the Philippines and he kind of like he does pranks and he kind of went a little far and he disrespected a lot of the people and police officers. So he's also a fool too because he recorded everything. He live streamed it, so all the evidence is on the camera, and everybody could look this up and watch it. So what I saw, which was really bad, is that the highlights of it. I don't remember all of it, but it shows him messing around with the police officer out in public, and he's like giving him a hug, and he's doing kind of like sus things, like getting behind him, hugging him, like treating him like a girl. And at one point,
treating him like a man, no respect. Yeah.
At one point, he tried to pretend to take his gun, and another point, he got on the cop's motorcycle, and he tried to steal it, but he couldn't start it, so he kind of just pedaled it with his foot, and the cop ran and got it. Didn't arrest him either. Let it go. And then there's another video of him like harassing this older lady, man. This guy's an idiot, man. He's harassing this older lady, just kind of in her ear, making like these weird sexual noises in her ear, moaning, all that stuff. So little dumb things like that. So because of that, he got arrested, I think, at the end of the night, and they put him in the Philippines prison, and the president got involved. The president actually of the Philippines came out and spoke on the news. So this guy is totally effed because the president is involved and he's focusing on it, and he is not letting him get deported. He's not going to send him back to America. He's not going to deport him back where he's from, which is, I believe, is Russia. If I'm wrong, people correct me, but I know he's not from the United States because they talked about him being from Russia, I believe. And he's facing 25 years and up in prison in the Philippines.
25 years.
Yes.
You're kidding. Wow.
And he cannot be deported. And they are saying, and they're going to, like I said, there's no special treatment. The president is focused on this. He has, in the Philippines, your average wait for your court date is 3 years. He's been there now for over a month, maybe 2 months, I would say. And I would say that it has got to be the most horrific thing, because people were saying they have an inside source of what's happening to him. But even if that's not true what they're saying, it is true what is happening to him, because the guy is open. He's very open about his life. He is on testosterone, so he's taking injections of testosterone. The guy does drugs on a daily basis. So this guy's body is most likely breaking down while he has to be in this prison. And the way the prison's set up, if people know how jail is, I unfortunately hope you guys don't know, most mods don't know what jail is, but unfortunately I've been there before. So in this jail, it's very famous for being like the worst jail. The way it's set up, it's a big open dorm. So that means like anybody can come across from any section and stab you, and God knows what they're gonna do to you. And that prison is known for the most awful thing you can do to a man. I'm not even gonna say it, but yeah, bad.
Man, that's too bad. I mean, that's harsh, but he shouldn't have done that, man. I think that's ridiculous. I mean, obviously, but 25 years seems
kind of
really, really
punishment.
harsh, man. Like I could see, like, dude, you were acting like a complete fool, and you're gonna spend a year in this really dark prison. You know, that would be horrible enough,
bro.
Yeah, 1 year's a long time, but 25 years, like the rest, he probably won't make it out. You know.
Oh, dude. Oh man, I feel really bad for him, man, because the money that he has is gonna run out eventually. I saw that he sold his house in Florida, I believe, and I don't know if he did that to survive there, because I mean they're gonna. Oh, man, it's just the worst things that you hear about prison happen there on a minute to minute basis.
If he's got enough money, he might be able to pay somebody off, but I doubt it now that the president spoke out about it.
Dude, because I saw this other podcast of this guy who went. I'll make it a long story short. He went, and this is what scared me about it. This guy went to Cambodia, got arrested for the most ridiculous thing that he did by accident, and he had money and he paid for like special treatment, and the most horrible thing happened to him. Still, 4 times.
Oh wow!
By multiple men.
Dude,
guy has to see like a psychiatrist like 3 times a week for the rest of his life, and this happened like 20 years ago to him or something. That's how much it destroyed him. And just the way, and it scared me, because I'm like, Vitaly, no matter how much money you have, you are still at risk for the worst things to ever happen. So God be with
him. People in there are going to be coming after him because he's not from there, and he's
going to stand out.
Yeah, he's going to stand out.
Blonde boy, white boy out there. Yeah. Everybody's dark skinned out there. You know what I mean? So it's just going to stand out. First of all, he's going to look like money.
Yeah.
And then, so anyways, but yeah, that's pretty crazy. So yeah, that's, I mean, man, it just kind of blends in with kind of, in my opinion, the topic of what we're talking about. Because, men shouldn't be behaving that way. You behave like a fool. This is the stuff that happens. And behaving like a fool can lead to many things, like you getting involved in the wrong situations, ruining, friendships, relationships by behaving like a fool, by overreacting. Real men, focus, they slow down, they don't lash out, they try to be in the moment and try to say something or respond with sternness, but also not weakness, to fix the situation, not lash out and go burn things down and wanting to fight for every reason. There's a time and a place for everything. And it's not always about lashing out and wanting to show. It's always true, the loudest person in the room is usually the weakest person in the room. That right there is very true, ladies and gentlemen. I witness it all the time. So
it's a hard situation to solve too, because I really don't think that, barring a really strong, I guess, event taking place that's going to cause people to really rethink life, I don't see that anything really shifting, especially in America, man. It's just it's such a different ground than it is in other countries, especially because I think the only solution for all of this is for people to turn to Jesus and give their life and love neighbors as themselves. But the thing is, in America, there's so many things that they have to rely on, that they rely on more than they rely on God. A lot of people think they're going to live forever. They think they're going to get a microchip in their head and they're going to live forever. So the idea of God is not even in their focal point, man. And I got this, it's crazy because, when I look at other countries and I look at people that really are wanting this thing, it just reminds me of when the disciples were out there, the fishermen were out there fishing, and Jesus said, throw your net on the other side, and all of a sudden the net was just full of fish. And man, America reminds me of like a kind of just a barren ocean of fish that are like don't want anything to do with it, man. They don't want anything. And that's what makes me believe that there's going to have to be something very traumatic for people to experience what it means to be a man again, or what it means to be anything really, what we're supposed to be, what we're designed for, because we're spoiled. I mean, it is what it is, man. We're spoiled, rotten, and corrupt. And so it usually takes a big time wake up call for that to change. And I'm hoping that I don't want to see a wake up call. I don't want to see people suffer and die. I don't want to see that. But I know that sometimes to heal, that takes those kind of situations to be able to see straight. I know for me, like for just me turning to Jesus, it took me going through a really dark time of going through withdrawals, being in jail, just being in a dark place for me to even know that the light is as powerful as it is. I just had no idea until I was fully immersed in darkness of my soul. Like I was ready to be done. I didn't want anything. I was done with life. I didn't want it. So like there was a darkness there, and the light was super bright to me, super attractive. And so I think that America is going to have to go through some kind of dark time in order for that to take place, in order for it to be fertile ground for the gospel anymore. I'm not saying it isn't in some places, but there are sects of people that are more open to hearing about it than others. You know, like that's one reason. Like my channel, like Now You See TV, focuses on people who are swept up in all kinds of theological differences, whether it be the occult, whatever, witchcraft, a new age, because those people are at least are looking for something. They're looking for power. They're looking for light. They're looking for something that they can grab onto. And when you have something they can grab onto, then that's when you can impact people. And so that's where we kind of focus on. But even that aspect of people, there's a pride there that really just takes a lot for them to overcome unless they've gone through something hard. I know that most of the people that I've seen over the years that have emailed us and that have met us, that we've baptized, that we've looked, whatever, you know, they've all had that dark soul moment to where things got to a point to where they were broken down enough to see the light. And so I pray that for people, and even though it's a hard time to go through, I pray that they go through that dark soul moment, that they're able to see the light again. Because when we never go through those things, we never have to worry about food, we never have to worry about anything, then it's easy to forget about God. And that's what's happened.
Yeah, man. And absolutely what you said, you have to go to that dark time, because I've also experienced just really bad times where you just don't know if you're going to be able to eat tomorrow, and you're in and out of jail. And when you get into those situations, at least for me, when I was in those situations, I'm facing all these court, these court situations. You tell yourself, like, God, please get me out of this. Like, I would be happy sleeping on the street in a box than face what than what I'm facing, because that's how it got to me. I was like, man, like I don't want to face all these fines and all this possible jail time. I was like, God, get me out of here. Like, I don't need anything fancy. Like, I will build my way up from living under a bridge rather than go to prison. And and it motivates you to get your stuff together, because you do. And if you don't, you're going to perish. And that's how simple it is. You either do or you don't. And if you don't, it's never going to end up good, because most of the time, if not all the time, you're not going to get taken care of, especially if you're a guy. You're on your own. And people honestly really don't care at the end of the day. Like, most people really don't care at the end of the day.
That's true.
So I think that's pretty sad. But that's why I think this whole episode is about, being a man. You got to handle your own stuff. It's not about doing what you want to do. There's a lot of things I want to do. I wish I could, but it's about doing what you have to do. Mm-hmm. You, as a man, you got to do what you have to do. And it's not always about, yes, if you work your butt off, you get to a certain point in life, God willing, you can do the things you want to do. But until then, and if you want, you see so-and-so, man, look at him, he's successful, blah, blah, blah. And, it's actually one of those people who put in work, who start from nothing. A lot of these people who are born in this generation, they want everything just given to them. Like, you'll be shocked that when I had to hire somebody to help me at the gym, like, these kids wanted to get paid like 40, 50 an hour. They never done anything before. I'm like, you're tripping. Like, I worked my whole life to get where I'm at. And it's just wild to me how people don't want to put in work, and people just don't understand what hard work is. And another thing too, I think everybody growing up needs to do construction for a summer at least one time to just have respect and be grateful for the different options that you have in life, because you can do anything you want. And I'm not giving any shade to, I used to do construction. That's why I'm saying those people work their ass off. Like, they work hard, and that right there built character for me. I worked one summer, and I ain't gonna lie, I couldn't handle it. I did it because I needed it. And the people that do it for a living, those dudes right there, they'll laugh at most of the people that cry about their job and what they're doing all day. They'll make fun of you, man. They'll make you cry. Those people are tough guys, man. But yeah, moving forward with that, I want to cover a couple things before we cover off. And I wanted to ask you, where do you think, because I also wanted to cover this, where do you think these riots are going to lead to? Because if the guns start popping off and they're saying those tanks in out here in California, do you think there's going to be some kind of lockdown coming where people are not going to be able to go outside in LA? Because that's what I'm seeing.
Oh yeah, if it gets to that point, definitely there'll be lockdowns.
Like, you won't be able to
And
go anywhere. Like, you can't drive
yeah,
anywhere.
it'll be. I mean, martial law will be imposed, and if you look up kind of what happens in cities when martial law is imposed, a lot of times they lock down. You're only allowed to go out at certain times. You're probably not allowed to go in certain parts of the city. You're not
Wow.
allowed, possibly not even allowed to leave the city, depending on the situation. So, I would say this, like, when I look at where things are going to pop off, if something's getting ready to happen, I would say do yourself a favor and maybe get out of town for a couple of
Oh,
days, or
man.
get away from it if you have to, because ultimately we don't know what's going to happen. It could be nothing. They could shut it down real quick, boom, handle it. Everybody praises Trump and how they handled it, or it could be something that lasts for a
Disaster.
long time, and yeah, it could be a disaster. So man, it's hard to really know where it's going. I know they'd like it to go
They
to where
want it to be
to where
disaster.
yeah, they want it to be. Yeah. So
I
I
have
don't know,
friends.
man.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was gonna say I have friends, and that's why I asked you, because I mean, I tell them, I was like, dude, you gotta get out of there, man. I was like, this is just not my opinion. This is just a smart thing to do, and I want them to hear you give your opinion too, because they think I'm full of it. Man, my friends think I'm nuts, man. I believe in a flat Earth. I believe, there's used to be 20-foot humanoids walking around, and they think I'm absolutely off the chain, off the wall. But they think I'm a good boxing coach. That's the only reason why they mess with me most of the time. But
Yeah.
but yeah, these people think I'm nuts. I want to ask you one more thing. What do you think is going on with the whole Elon Musk and Trump thing with the black guy? I'm hearing now that it is a fact that he got into some tussle in there and he got clocked by one of Donald Trump's security people. And then he turns on him. Then he mentions the Epstein thing, and then he apologizes. What do you think is going on? Because I know we think different. We're thinking deep. We're
Oh
thinking
man.
Illuminati. We're thinking possible cabal. We're thinking possible the ritual with the black eye. But then again, it could got beat up. Like, what do you think?
Well, I've heard that he's pretty unstable. Was really unstable during the last times, and some people thought he was on drugs, and he attacked somebody else as well. I can't remember who he attacked, but
What?
like so he's that's the word from the people that were around him. And so there's two things that could be, I mean, there's more than two things that could be a possibility. I'll give you, my first and second thought. Both could be true, neither could be true, but I think that he shows signs of being erratic in behavior lately on and in a lot of ways, like, but yet he is so successful that he's able to slide through with it anyway. Like, when you are best friends, best buddies with somebody, and you get like the golden ticket to, or golden key to the White House,
Yeah.
and then the next week or whatever you're bashing them, that just, I don't know who's going to want to work with the guy. That would be a
Yes.
hard sell to me. Hey, we should work with Elon on this. I mean, I obviously, as in my place, I'd be thrilled to be able to do some kind of project that would be
Oh
monetarily
yeah.
valuable working with Elon. But at the same time, there's that risk in the back of your head that he's going to turn on you and
Unstable.
and destroy you. So if it's not that, then it's a possibility that it was a ploy to get people distracted from, who was probably fully on the Epstein list like crazy. Because I mean, you saw the Democratic Party like raging for the Epstein list to be opened.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know, man. I would, if I were Elon, like I would be, I don't know. I'd be like, I don't know if I want to play that part, man. How do you come back from like,
I'd just be quiet if I were him, man.
yeah,
Jeez.
unless they're at the end, they're going to be like, did you guys like that? Did you guys like the show? See what happened? Then he could redeem himself in that way. But it's hard to know, man. It reminds me, I used to watch Celebrity Apprentice, and it was just a cliffhanger every time. You're always wondering what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It was a good show. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And this just reminds me of that. And I follow Donald Trump on Truth Social, which is his social media platform. And in one of his most recent posts, he grabs a thing of popcorn off the shelf and throws it into his cart. That's the kind of stuff he's posting. Like he's like, yeah, like grab your popcorn, here we go type thing.
Wow.
And yeah, dude, he even posted like a repost of somebody saying that Joe Biden was gone in 2020, unalived in 2020, and that he's a robot and genetic clones and stuff like that. Like he posted that stuff on True Social. So he even posted a painting of himself that had Q plus on his collar. I mean, this is like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff
wild.
going on.
I didn't know that.
Bro.
I need to get on there because nobody's posting on this. I would think conservatives would love to post this guy. Oh, I told you QAnon was real, because everybody said it was fake. And I mean, it's just kind of, come on, it's like a fantasy story, at least in my opinion. Unless you know something that I don't know, it sounds ridiculous. It's pretty much saying that there's this, unnamed faction of soldiers that are taking out the cabal as we speak since 2020 apparently.
Dude, I used to think that, but here, let me tell you something that recent. There was an old Q post. So Q is the only poster of Q, right? And then there's Q in honor of the people that follow the Q. And I just learned this because I was spending some time with a buddy that has been into it for years, and he's been looking at it. And there's a post that they posted years ago that called exactly which Marines would be in California, which posts they would come from, and that they would be responding to riots. And it literally said all of this stuff in this old Q post. So some people think it stands for quantum, like it's able to read the future. Some people think that, Donald Trump is Q. Some people think his wife is. I mean, who knows what it really is? But there's weird stuff, man. I don't know what to think about it other than.
Well, that is not.
Yeah,
I mean, it's questionable. See stuff like that. If you show me stuff like that, I'd be interested. But I've been getting the crappy version of it with it all getting disproven. That's the version.
Well, it's because that's the only version that obviously you're gonna probably get on mainstream.
Yeah, because they keep going back to saying, "Oh, remember when Q said they're going to arrest Hillary, the Clintons and Hillary, and then that never happened." And then they're also saying that Obama was, there was even one where Obama was already arrested. They said this is what what I mean. They've been Oprah's in jail right now. All this none of it was true. So that,
dude, when you go on True Social, look at Trump stuff for the past few months. He even posted something that said it all leads to Obama. And basically he's the root of this is crazy, man. It's like he's saying things that
we all
believe that it's possible. Yeah. Like it's crazy. He's saying things that could make you think that some of that stuff is possible, that they did arrest them in 2020. I don't know, man. I mean, it's just wild, some of the things that are out there. So that's why I don't have a really good answer. I've known people that pretended like they have clearance to be able to tell me things, and I don't know if any of them are true, but I would say that there's definitely something odd and underground and intelligence oriented, factions oriented, that's going down behind closed doors. It reminds me of the movie, the Star Wars movie, the light side and the dark side kind of battling. Like it's almost like the return of the Jedis type thing. It's really strange, man.
That's crazy that you said that, because I would think everybody would be talking about that. And this is recent. You said he was talking about this stuff with Joe Biden being a robot.
Oh, yeah. Look and scroll for the last few weeks what he's been posting.
And that's crazy too, because I haven't heard nothing about Joe Biden. Last thing I heard about Joe Biden is he had cancer and he didn't have that much time left. I haven't heard nothing about Biden. And we used to hear about him all the time, see him on TV all the time. And now that I think about it, I haven't heard about him at all. Actually, like in the last month. That's crazy, dude. When I
There's
think about
somebody that lined up a video of him walking out of the helicopter, and then they lined up a video of the newest robots that they have, and it's the same. In the video
I
is like
gotta look at this
like,
stuff,
whoa,
man.
this
This
is
is crazy. There's no
yeah.
way, man. But, hey, but I've seen
I
him
mean, it
in
would explain a lot. Think about like some of the weird things that how they talk and how it's
well, they're
just been
kind of like they're
strange.
breaking down sometimes.
Keeping on walking while people are hollering at like
Yeah, just not here. And now you mentioned that when he's talking about Elon Musk, remember those videos he's kind of going like this, like a snake, kind of moving weird like that. That's
yeah,
also weird too. I don't think that's. I think he's just like on something, and
dude, I don't
and I
know.
don't know why people fall for him. Anyways, most like yeah, he has some cool stuff going on, but we all know you can't trust a dude that doesn't believe in God. I mean, he doesn't believe in Jesus Christ. I mean, this
Yeah.
a guy with that much power who doesn't believe in God is not going to be bound to the morals of the Bible. So like a guy like that could easily be manipulated with money to build a neural link that can enslave people. For example, this is all for entertainment purposes, people. That's just my opinion, but yeah, man, that's what I got to say. That's what I think about that guy. So
Just before we get stopped, I just wanted to ask you if you've heard there's a conspiracy theory that I didn't really even know about until just the other day. Somebody sent this to me, and they believe this, and there's apparently a group of people that believe it as well. Let me find it real quick. I'm looking through
go
my
for it,
texts
Johnson.
at the moment because it is okay.
Wild or
Here's this thing. I'm gonna explain it to you because you probably can't see it. So according to this is a document from the Double Cross organization, for the Trump Double Cross organization, which I didn't even know was a thing. But apparently there were 3 Trump doubles. So 3
wow.
Trumps that would walk around for Trump. And this was saying that on October 10th, 1989, Donald Trump was killed in a helicopter crash. And
Ah,
after the crash, the 3 doubles or doppelgangers continued working for the Trump Double Cross organization. And
yeah.
so like there's all these different documents here that supposedly prove that, even like a old supposed
Yeah.
newspaper article that talks about fatal
Wow.
crash sends chill through workers at Trump casino hotels. Executive's
And
death will
no,
impact on casino. Whether or not any of that's true, I don't
that's
know, but that's
wild.
another conspiracy theory going on out there.
Dude,
So,
and where are you getting all these are wild
dude,
conspiracies. That's just why you got a
I
good
I
show.
call myself conspiracy king, man. For a
Dude,
reason.
this is why your shows are so crazy. Where are you getting this info from, man? I would love to do a podcast on Donald Trump saying that he knows what Q's been the whole time. I mean, it's not by accident. Either that, he's the best troll of all time, and he's the coolest president of all time because he kind of behaves how
Yeah.
everybody, like how most of us are thinking. At least the ones that
I
have a
hope
brain.
that's it, because I like the guy. Like when I hear him talk, I'm like, man, I really like this dude. Reminds me of my uncle, man. Like he's just like a cool, just
Yeah, and he goes to UFC
straight
fights.
shooter. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, the guy's almost 80 and he's at the UFC fights. I mean, what guy can't respect a guy who's going to the UFC fights? He
yeah.
talks like a man, acts like a man, handles things like a man, doesn't take no for an answer when he's trying to get stuff done. And as far as I'm concerned, everybody said if you vote for him, and guys, remember, I voted for Trump many times, but I also, if he's doing something wrong, I also will call him out on it. Because a lot of people get crazy when I talk about this. They think, I look at this guy like he's God. I don't. No one's
Same,
gonna.
same here. People think the same about me, and I'm like, look, like
It's just
we're all crappy in general,
uh,
and like I don't really know the inner workings of all this stuff, but from what I can see of the man, like I enjoy listening
things are
to him. I know it
fine.
sounds crazy. I enjoy the guy. He reminds me of Uncle, like I'm
That's what I'm
calling him
saying.
Uncle Don if I was hanging out. Like he just
That's what I'm
reminds me of
saying.
a cool uncle.
Yeah, that's the way I see it, and I can only judge him based on what I see. And I don't see him doing anything that I haven't done. Like some of the little things. Oh man, at one time he got whatever. He acted out of line at a party, said something. Who hasn't? I mean, stupid stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I could relate to him more than not relate to him, even though he's a super rich and the most powerful man in the world, and probably the biggest celebrity in the world. It's pretty crazy to be him. But John, thank you for coming on the show, and I'm actually looking forward to going to Conspiracy Con.
Oh
Thank you
yeah,
again
man.
for that, and I'm kind of
That's gonna be
nervous.
awesome. I'm looking forward to it. Don't be nervous, dude. Don't be nervous. It's
Yeah, I'll be fine.
you can do it. You can do it. It's really, I know it's tough when you're speak in front of people, for like in front of a live audience for the first time,
That's gonna be
and
wild.
it's gonna be wild. But you're gonna do fine, dude. You
It's
do it
gonna
on
be blood
camera.
race.
That's yeah.
It's gonna be a rush, dude. That's crazy. How many people are gonna be there?
Well, we're expecting at least 500, so we can have to stop selling indoor tickets at 500 because of the size. I mean,
wow.
the main stage only holds about 500 people. So, but we are going to open up the outside area too and have activities such as like we connected with the Jesse James riding stables that are down the road there, and they're going to bring like a horse and carriage, and they're going to bring some hay rides. We're going to have like a blow up thing outside, and hopefully some games and music and good times going on outside at the same time as the things going on the inside. So we're just trying to bring the party, make it fun, and also just be an outlet, man, for the narrative of Christ, man, in general, and Jesus. Because look, almost every one of these conferences is super hyper focused on not accepting those things. It's crazy how many of these conferences there are around that will never, like the Cosmos conference, for instance, they're not going to, they say that they're there to explain the truth to people, but they're never going to include the way, the truth, and the life into these talks. You know, yeah, there are Christian
people are
conferences
scared to say it. That's what's it's nerve-wracking. I mean, dude, it's never like a super positive response, you know what I mean? But you got to be brave and do it. And I think this is a perfect place to start, and I'm gonna do what I gotta do. And yeah, this is more nerve-wracking than my first boxing match, so it's pretty crazy.
Oh wow.
But yeah,
I know how, like, my first tournament that I did, I felt so nervous, man, for like a week.
Dude. I always gotta go to the restroom before, right? Too, I'll pee like 20 times, and right before, if I go pee again, too late. Ding, ding,
Dude,
ding.
I get nervous before shows, like I do, and I've been doing them for years. I get that feeling that
I get nervous too. All the time. Take me like 20 minutes in the show to start unwinding. But I'm gonna.
Good thing, though. Nerves are a good thing.
Yeah, you got to have them, or else you don't know you're alive, or else you're a cadaver. But thank you. I'm gonna, before when I end recording, we're still gonna be on, but I want to talk to you really quick after this. So, guys, thank you very much for listening to the show. Hope you guys enjoyed it, man. I want to thank you again to John Pounders from IEC TV. If you guys don't know who he is, you guys have been living under a rock. Check out IEC TV. They got decades worth of content. Thank you again, John, for coming on, and I will see you guys soon. Alrighty. I hope everybody enjoyed the episode. I hope everybody had a good time hanging out with me and John Pounders, just two men discussing life and just seeing what the future holds and trying to use discernment to walk through this satanic world.